From Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Shemot, bucking the trend. If we look in the Parsha, we find the Mialdot Haivriot, the two, they're Egyptian or they're Jewish people who are helping the birth process, and these midwives decide to go against Pharaoh, to buck the trend, and to go against his orders to kill the male children. Later on, according to Rashi, the Midrash, to kill all the children. Now, the Rashi says, and based on the Midrash, also a Gemara and Sota, that not only did they buck the trend in the sense that they did not murder the babies as they were born, but rather, they actually provided mesapkot mayu mazon. They would provide water and food for the babies. So they went beyond simply defying Pharaoh. They actually went in the opposite direction. Says Rabbi Hershel Schachter, Shlita of Yeshiva University, he says they had to go to the other extreme. If you're in a society, he says, in which there is such extreme lack of value for life, their response needed to be not only not to listen to such trends, not to devalue the life of a child, but rather to go a step further, to actually provide for the children, go beyond their midwifery role. They were beyond the role of simply bringing these children into the world, to actually provide for them. They became more like nurses to provide postpartum care as well. The Reb Nissen Alpert says, actually, wait a second, Mayim, you gave water to the babies? Do you give water to babies? Not that I recall. And the answer is that these women not only helped with the birth process, but they came back later for a post-maternity care session. And it was that session later on, as they reached past perhaps a year old, to see how they were doing. And then they gave them mayim, umazon, water, and food when they were ready to eat food as well. They went way beyond the call of duty. Because as the Rambam says in Hilchot Deot, chapter 2, law number 2, he mentions that if you go too far in one direction, you need to repair that bad trait by going in the opposite direction. Usually we have to be in the center. We have to be centered. We have to have a moderate approach. Not too much this way, not too much that way. But when we sometimes err in one direction or the other, we need to correct it by going all the way in the other direction. And this, says Rav Schachter, is true also societally, that if the whole society is going in the wrong direction, we as individuals have to correct ourselves all the way in the other direction as well. This idea that the Jews were bucking the trend is found throughout our Parsha. For instance, the whole idea of Shemot, Ve'ele Shemot b'nei Yisrael. These are the names of the Jewish people. We are not nameless individuals. We are not part of some wheel. We are not a cog in a wheel. We are Shemot b'nei Yisrael. We are individual babies, each one very significant. Now there is this verse, Vayelech ish mi beit Levi, vayikach et bat Levi. A man from the tribe of Levi went and he took a woman from the tribe of Levi. And that was Amram and Yocheved, the parents of Moshe, and they had the child and they saved him, etc. Why does it say a man? Why doesn't it say Amram? Why does it say he took a woman? Why doesn't it say Yocheved? Number one, the message is that every man is important. It doesn't matter that he was Amram or Yocheved. Every single Jewish couple, every single human being has a significance. And just this one man who maybe was not so famous, not so well known, he could make this difference. By having this child at this dangerous time, he would change the world by bringing the Redeemer of the world at that time to save the world. Number two, indeed, at that time, people had lost their identity. And that's why it doesn't give a name, because they had lost their identity. But Amram and Miriam stand up and they say, Others are refraining from having children, and we will stand up on the opposite. We will have more children and more. Amram and Yocheved, they were very elderly. The rabbis say that she was 130 years old. And nonetheless, she decided that she would have another child. Why? Because each child was so important. They went to the extreme that more children should be brought into this world. Bitya or Batya, the daughter of God, the daughter of Pharaoh, she became a convert and she adopted God as her father in heaven. This Batya, this daughter of Pharaoh, she too went against Pharaoh, not only that he was calling for the death of the children. And what did she do? She actually adopted the child. She loved and embraced a Jewish child, the opposite of what her father wanted, an ultimate act of sort of a teenage rebellious act, but a very moral one as well. Now Moshe, at the beginning of the burning bush, he seems not to get this point to some degree. He says, Mi anochi ki elech Paro. Who am I that I should walk to Paro? Can one person stand up in front of Paro? Can someone who's not a king, not a pharaoh, can he make a difference in the world? And God's answer is most definitely yes. With God's help, ki hayeh imach, you can change the world. The question is, we asked, why does it say a man married a woman? And why do we need to know about the marriage altogether? Why couldn't it just say Moses was born? And the answer is that it doesn't take a God to bring a redemption into this world. A man can be with a woman and they can bore a child who indeed can save the world. A human being has that potential to save the world. It's not the gods or sons of gods that bring about redemption according to our faith tradition. The question is, what did Shifra and Puah do to go beyond? Not only did they give water and food, that was Shifra, Mishaper Davlad. She would always make nice to the baby. Puah, she would talk to the baby in the various types of speech that one would engage in with a little tiny baby. These women went beyond the call of duty. What about us? What is our role in bucking the trend, fighting the trends of society that are negative? Of course, there are many positive things in society, but what about those things which are negative? What is it that we need to buck the trend for? Is it tznius in the realm of modesty and immodesty? Is that one of the issues of today? Where everyone's speaking about rights, I have a right to this, I have a right to that, we should speak about responsibility, buck the trend. We have not just a right to do this and a right to that and a right to receive, but a responsibility to give and to do. In a world where it's becoming increasingly universalistic, everyone cares about people throughout the whole universe. Care more about your spouse, care more about your children, care more about your community, care more about your neighbors. That's a particularism needed in a world of a universalism sometimes gone awry. A world in America which speaks about freedom, such an important value of which we certainly espouse. But we also need to speak about, to buck the trend, to speak about restraint, that when you have freedom, you also have tremendous responsibility to show restraint as well as freedom. What are our roles today in being the modern Miriams, the modern Amrams, the modern Shifra and Puah, the modern midwives of the day? And that's the question, that's the challenge for us, how to buck the trend. But there's no question that when we do fight trends, we need to fight it hard. We need to go to the opposite end and extreme in order to meet, again, the middle and to, be grounded with the proper and proper values in all ways. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfard Beth Elameth congregation in Memphis, Tennessee for our discussion of this Parsha. Join us each week for discussions of holidays, how-to Judaism, and how-to videos. Thanks to Jason Lefkowitz for his technical assistance, and thank you for joining us. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.